Hello, teachers, and thank you so much for joining this live streamed community event on the Teaching English Facebook page and YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about how we can use AI effectively in our lessons. And to help us, we have Mary, who's joining us from the Philippines. How are you today, Mary?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Well, tell you what, every time we have talked on Teaching English about AI and how it can be used to help us in lesson planning, but also creating those activities for our learners. Teachers are absolutely really loving finding out more. So that's what we're hoping to do today, isn't it? So we've called the session Effective Prompts for AI Tools. So one of the things that we experiment with very often when we're practicing with AI chatbots is,
Mhm.
what to say to get the response that you need. So that's what we're talking about today. So how important is it to get those prompts just
Okay.
right?
Um, Let me just, I don't want to mention any technical terms, because we just want to simplify for all the teachers out there, as not to be, scared. I think there are still some technically challenged teachers and are quite hesitant to use AI. I would like to compare it with a cookie analogy, with baking cookies. Do you like cookies, Marcus?
I'm gluten intolerant, so unfortunately I do like cookies, but they have to be made with rice flour.
Oh, okay. There you go. Uh, Rice flour. Okay. It's good that you've mentioned that you had to be specific. What kind of ingredients that you should be using? All right. So because if you just say I need a recipe for a cookie, okay, and you can just find any recipe for a cookie. All right. So it's basically the same when you're using AI or language models. What specifically do you want? Marcus mentioned that I need to find, cookies that would just need a specific ingredients. So there you go. And if you want to add more into the ingredients or into the recipe, therefore you just need to tailor suit that according to your need. So if you give an AI a vague prompt like, let's say, create an English lesson plan, okay, what will you have? Very generic. All right, and it's going to be unusable because AI needs to have enough information to work with it. So I think for my experience, I use simplify it, CAS. That's the first one. You need the context, the audience, and the specifics.
Okay, so that's a very good example. Yes, 'cause I think we've all been told about the power of these AI chatbots and the content that it can generate. But when we
Hmm.
go to ask it something, it's not that the AI is not powerful enough. It's that you're right. We're not telling it enough about our students, our level, our sort of vocabulary topic, for example. So you're right, you do absolutely have to include everything. Just going to give a quick shout out to a few people joining us. We've got Osama in Sudan joining us on Facebook. Likewise, Taruf in Kararupran. I'm not sure where that is. Please do let us know. We've also got Nabil joining us from Ethiopia on YouTube as well. Claudia in Argentina. Karina in Bulgaria. We've got a really good global audience here. Gifty from Ghana. Um, Excellent. Fuang Vu, nice to see you again. Nice to see you again. Okay.
Nice to see you, everyone. So,
So many teachers joining because there's
join
so
us.
much
Yes.
curiosity, isn't there?
Oh, yes, definitely. Okay. Because aside from the chat GPT that we have. All right. Lately, nowadays, there are so many tools that you can actually use. And whenever somebody asks me, what is an effective prompt? Okay, what makes this really effective? Well, again, I think you would have to do some reverse brainstorming on your end before you would, before I would really say that's effective. I would have to analyze what makes this prompt that I'm using ineffective. All right. And it's not just one time that you're going to write down all the information that you need and you're going to expect AI to bring you that perfect lesson or perfect worksheet that you're going to have. Right, it really does require iteration. It's a repetitive process. And I always tell some of my co-teachers that what can be effective for me may not be effective for someone else. So it's really just a matter of being specific. Again, what is your goal? Are you going to create a worksheet or an activity? And who is it for? What is the audience? Are you targeting a specific age group? It's even better if you include the grade level, all right, and the specifics. What details do you want? Okay, particularly the topic are these verb tenses. So if you're going to talk about verb tenses, which tense? Past tense, simple tense, okay, present perfect tense. Okay. Let's say, for example, um, I'm going to say a typical prompt. All right. So the prompt is make a picture of a classroom. All right, audience, what do you think you get? You can type it on the chat box. Why is this an ineffective prompt? Make a picture of a classroom.
Yeah, I like that. Let's see what teachers are coming up with. In the meantime, you've got a couple of fellow, I can't remember the word for Kabayan. No, the people who live in your country. You've
Ah,
got
kababayan.
Janalyn
Hello,
from the
kababayan.
Philippines
Yes,
and
thank you for joining
Des
us.
Sarmiento from Manila.
Hello,
Okay,
hello, hello. Yes.
that's
Okay.
absolutely
And
great. Response quickly from Eliange. Yeah, a random picture because we've not given enough information, have we?
not exactly, okay. It's not
Uh,
effective. It's going to give you the particular picture that you want. Okay. So you should include something else, okay, because you have expectation. And AI is just like, how you're giving instruction to kids. For those who are teachers for kids, all right, you really need to give them specific instructions. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Nabil here says from YouTube, not specific, what classroom, who's in it, how many. Um,
Exactly.
yes, absolutely.
There. Okay. And if I'm going to transform that into an effective prompt, of course, I liked using the word create. Whether I'm using, I like to generate a picture or a worksheet, let's say, instead of saying make a picture of a classroom or give me a picture of a classroom, that's correct. You could say create an image of a bright and colorful classroom. So you already have a very specific need. Where young children, which young children, what ages? Maybe let's say it's ages 6 to 8, okay, are happily learning English there. Okay, so you can use that. And the good thing about this is that, let's say, once the AI generates that already, if you're not fully satisfied, you can tweak it. Okay, you can even say it's just like having a conversation. Can you make it a little bit bright? Like, use these kinds of colors. Let's say pink or yellow. Maybe you can even say, I'd like you to include a friendly teacher there. So you can tweak it any way you want to. So, there really is no, from my experience of using AI, the formula, they would work. But again, okay, it's up to you. Let's go back to the cookie analogy. What would you want your cookie to have? How would you like it to appear? And how would you like to serve it to your to your students.
Yeah, so you need to like sort of picture the, I guess the end result, even if it's in your mind. Like, what information do you need to share in order to get as close to that image that's in your mind?
Exactly, exactly. There, okay.
Exactly. I mean, there's lots of support for this. I think lots of teachers are finding this out for themselves. Angel on Facebook, be as specific as possible. Discernimiento, not only specific instructions, you need to use the appropriate expressions, word, and
Yes,
framing for the
exactly.
context, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And if I may add to that, to a specific instruction, appropriate expression. Okay, I'd rather use simple language. We don't need to use any technical terms for that, because again, AI will only follow, okay, what you're telling them to do. So it's simple and more straightforward. Okay, again, it's up to you to tweak it. It's up to you how to find out. It's really all about from the beginnings when I was using AI to make language worksheets. I wasn't fully satisfied. How come it's not? It was frustrating. How come it was not giving me what I wanted? Oh, okay. I can still give further instruction on how I want it to be. Can you make it? You can even ask questions like you're, texting a friend, right? Can you make it a little challenging? There, okay. Can you include a 20 item multiple choice question? Okay, so until such time that you're able to come up with your own formula. I think that's what works best for most teachers. Trial and error, iteration.
I mean, I think that's the same for any part of teaching, isn't it? We try something in class, it works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, we reevaluate what we would need to do next time to hopefully make that work. Lots and lots of comments. Exactly. I think we're all learning as we go along. So yeah, even Karina says, are the students in front of computers? What's in front of them? Do they have like wooden desks? Are they sat in rows or sort of groups of four in a kind of a square format or a horseshoe
Yes,
shape
exactly.
as
Um,
well?
Simon
Um,
also mentioned AI is cold. It has no empathy there. So give it empathy. All right. Try to what do you call this? Give it life. Again, it's just going to give you what you're telling them to do. It's based from your instructions.
that is true. So I mean, it's just, again, it's just like teaching basics 101. It's all about the instructions. Making your instructions clear, full of detail, to get the thing that you want to get from the instruction, the action that you want from that. I did quickly pull up on screen. So I've got on standby the document that you sent through to me this morning, also yesterday evening, Mary. So if you need to refer to anything that's in there, I've got it ready. So a few comments I'd like to share out. Sonia on Facebook, AI can be trained by your prompts from time to time. So yes, I mean, it is learning. Rachna, so reinforces what we've been talking about here. Be precise and specific and scaffolding techniques. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm not sure if you've got a personal opinion on this. I mean, you mentioned, and I think we're all aware when we talk about AI, specifically the chatbots. So we've got
Mhm.
the sort of original one, the Chat GPT that I think a lot of us started with.
The
But
popular one.
then we saw rolled out different variations from Microsoft through Bing and now Copilot. Google went from Bard to Gemini. And now you've obviously got this sort of more recent, more powerful one coming in from China, the DeepSeek.
DeepSeek AI.
Do you have a preference between all of these chatbots?
Oh, okay. I've tried comparing them actually. Um, Personally, the creative one for me, based from my experience, is actually when I'm using Gemini.
Mm,
There, it's Google Gemini. For Chat GPT, it really gives you the formal language when it answers. No specific preference actually, but lately, okay, I'm also into Copilot there. So try it out, teachers. Okay, find out what works best for you. Personally, I use Copilot. You know, especially if I have a lot of um, administrative tasks. I need to check something. And then there's always Chat GPT. All
mm.
right. If somebody even asks me, if who's which is my favorite, DeepSeek or Chat GPT? Neither. Neither actually. Haven't tried DeepSeek AI so far. So far.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting you say that because yeah, I think last year I was experimenting with ChatGPT, but as of quite recently, the AI is now more integrated in the device that you're using. So, for example, I've got a Google phone, so Gemini is embedded into everything that I do. So I tend to use Gemini on my phone, but
Mm-hmm.
working for the British Council, where we use Microsoft Teams, where Copilot is part of the infrastructure. So I tend to use that to keep everything sort of natively, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. All right. It depends what you're using. Same things. I'm glad that you've mentioned it. Whenever I'm in front of my laptop, it's Chat GPT. Phone, you have Gemini, actually.
Mm.
So many choices, actually. Find out what suits best for you. There's even actually, if you don't mind me sharing,
Yeah.
a very personalized, okay, um, AI. Okay, it's actually called Pi AI. All right, which I discovered. Okay, it's more conversational, right? So if you're somebody that would just like to get an advice on what kind of worksheets you're using, all right, sort of like a more friendly way of incorporating AI, so you can try that. You can try that as well. Again, it's not one size fits all.
Mm. Absolutely. There's an interesting comment come from Nabil, who's watching us on YouTube right now, who says, I've been to a workshop where I learned effective limited prompts to help limit the carbon footprint and protect the environment. And I'm not sure if many of us realize, but AI uses an awful lot of energy and water every time. So the more, I guess, effective the prompt, the less the carbon footprint and less the water usage on
Yes,
that.
yes, yes. I agree with you. I started with again iteration, repetition, and until I can come up with a certain formula that I want when I want to generate worksheets or when I want to generate lessons. And then you save that. Okay, save that on file, and then that's the time that you can reuse it over and over again.
Mm, absolutely. Um, a comment here from Branka, also on YouTube. My students resist to cross this bridge from books to AI. And I think my colleague Karen, who's actually moderating the live chat right now, was talking about her class and how
Mhm.
there are, some early adopters, some embracers of this technology, but there are also, a proportion of our learners who are quite resistant, sort of not wanting to share personal data or sort of they prefer to think critically for themselves rather than have to sort of get a direct answer from a chatbot. How have you sort of noticed anything similar with your classes, or how would you advise teachers sort of proceed in this type of situation?
Oh, of course, if the school itself has what do you call this, a membership for a certain AI, it's always better to check privacy. I think right now it's good because we have the data privacy law, data privacy act. Okay, and well, avoid giving your personal information. That's always the case. So that's just my experience. Whenever some students of mine or some co-teachers of mine are a little bit hesitant or reluctant in using AI, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, is it new technology? I think we're all figuring out how best to get, the most out of it while being sort of cautious about how we proceed. Uh, sorry, I've got someone at the door. They'll have to wait.
Okay,
Um,
happens.
I know that's typical, isn't it? Um, right. Comment from Nabil on YouTube. I use Perplexity as a personal assistant. I've not heard of that one. Have you?
Perplexity is also another one. Actually, I use it as well, um, because most of them you can have on a free tier. All right, but then again, once it's going to ask you to sign up for it. Okay, why not? It's also I've tried Perplexity once, I think, but again, as what I would always reiterate. Okay, what works best for you?
Mm, absolutely. Sonia on Facebook says, I like Pi AI, as you mentioned
Hi,
earlier. I've
AI.
tried it before. It's
Mhm.
more emotional. That's not a word we often hear when we talk about
That's
AI.
true. That's true. And if I may add, also, come across my mind, because we're talking about when we're using the risk of AI generated content, because some teachers would, say that it's violating copyright rules. Okay. Now, again, AI can pull ideas from copyright sources, so that's all right. That's good. But you always have to check for originality using plagiarism detection tools. Okay, I think we have Turnitin. If you're familiar with that, to check, especially images or text. Well, if I always advise my students and co-teachers, if should you use AI generated images or text, make sure to attribute your sources and use content that is marked, for free educational use, to avoid risk of violating copyright rules.
That's a very, very good point there, and it's sort of it's tying in with a lot of comments that we're seeing on Facebook and YouTube right now.
Hmm.
This one on YouTube from Ali: Are AI generated materials considered authentic, and how reliable are exercises or texts?
Okay, that's why it's always teachers oversight is always the key. Again, AI learns from data. Okay, which contain to be honest, which may contain biases. That's why, again, oversight is the key. A best practice to verify AI outputs and cross check with trusted sources. Okay, like me, if I notice some bias in an AI generated response, I refine my prompt, or ask for multiple perspectives.
Love that. Got another comment coming in from YouTube. Mireg. Once I've introduced AI tools for my students, most of them have become dependent on it. Regarding me, I use ChatGPT. I mean, is it a problem if we become dependent on it in the same way we've kind of come to rely on other technologies in our lives?
Oh yeah, okay. Probably based from my experience also, essays, we ask our students to write essays. Okay, so just to be sure that they're not really fully dependent on what chat GPT or Copilot would give them, what you can actually ask your students you is to include the pre-draft, kind of like an outline, right, by hand, just to ensure that they're the ones really making their essays. So, and it's also quite challenging for teachers. This is when you can squeeze out your creative juices. Maybe what you can do is, like, if you ask a student to submit a particular essay, kind of like ask them, how did you come up with it, some sort of like an oral presentation as well, when they're presenting their AI, because sorry, their AI, their essay, because they would know, or you would know, if they're really the one doing it.
Mm.
It's kind of like, instead of just a final draft, make them submit also a pre-draft. All right, some of my students actually even submit like those graphic organizers, so you can provide them with that, just to again ensure that they're not fully dependent on AI. Or another one that I've used actually is, let's say, in the classroom or an activity, you ask the students to generate an essay from chat GPT. Okay. And maybe what you could actually ask them is to come up with their own perspective. What do they think about what chat GPT generated? What Sometimes, especially with grammar, my students would actually point out that there are some grammatical inaccuracies that AI produces. So it kind of gives them, they're becoming more critical and analytical. So that's just some, my 2 cents worth sharing just from personal experience, because it's really difficult. It's there already, it's out in the open, we can't fight it. If I may say, might as well, find ways on using your own creativity.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, there's a few comments coming through. As shared this one from Eliange. How do we deal with students using AI to make their school presentations or texts? And I mean, it takes me back to, when I was in primary school and calculators were introduced into, lessons for mathematics. And at that time, there was a big sort of bit of an outrage. It's like, well, no, this is cheating. But now we're so dependent on calculators and we don't consider it cheating. Do you think we'll sort of be using AI to help us, in our work? Just to give you a quick share. I mean, recently, internally in the British Council, we've been sort of drafting an internal AI policy so that, if we do any work or training or sort of documents, that we declare just, what AI we used, what the prompts were, just to be more sort of,
Transparency, exactly.
transparent, and sort of, realizing that, yeah, these are useful tools and this is my work, but it's been enhanced by AI. Do you think we'll have something similar in schools where AI will be part of, how we produce our assignments and presentations, but at least being transparent in the same way?
Well, I guess it's not far from happening. It's a trend. Okay, just like what you've mentioned, you just have to set boundaries and set rules about it. I guess it's not far from happening that it's going to be incorporated already in the school system. Well, I think it's even better because at least children will be aware, all right, or students will be aware. Awareness is the key after all, rather than hiding everything.
Yeah, I think that's the key, isn't it? Being transparent, not hiding. When we use AI, we declare it. We say, yes, it is useful, but we've still edited it and produced the final result for our particular audience.
Exactly.
Mary, 30 minutes have absolutely flown by.
Oh, we have so many questions still.
I know, unfortunately, but Karen is very busy in the live chat, both on Facebook and YouTube at the moment. And we will obviously try to respond to as many of them as we can. Also, teachers, do share your top tips with each other in the comments. Help each other on this journey of exploring and experimenting with AI tools to get the best out of your teaching for the essentially the benefit of your learners at the end of the day. Mary, what time is it in the Philippines where you are right now? Must be quite
Oh,
late.
it's 8:30, 8:30, 8:31. It's evening
Oh,
time.
okay. Well, it's 1:30 where I am. So, teachers, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time joining one of our live conversations on Facebook, do hit that follow button. And likewise on YouTube, if this is the first time you're catching one of our live streams, do consider subscribing to our channel. Mary, thank you so much for sharing some really helpful practical insights for teachers and using generative AI chatbots. It's been a good eye opener, I think.
Yes, pleasure is all mine. I wish it's just more than 30 minutes, but again, okay, we'll have some more actually. Just stay tuned for the British Council.
Love that. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, teachers, for joining us, and thank you so much, Karen, for moderating the live chat on both Facebook and YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.